Hey guys, this is Chris. Welcome back to Free Range Phoenix, a blog about narcissistic abuse and codependency recovery. In this video, I'm going to give you 5 important ways to start breaking apart the trauma bond. So let's get right into it. So, as I said in the last video, the trauma bond is really a powerful reality distortion. If you're in a situation where you're trauma bonded, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to hold on to the competing ideas and feelings that the person is both someone who you're in a loving relationship with and someone who's treating you badly and doesn't give a shit about you. So we call that cognitive dissonance, and I still get it sometimes, but it gives you a foggy feeling. I found that it led me to kind of dissociate and zone out because your mind can't integrate those two different ideas. So you have to get back in touch with reality, and that's how you fight the trauma bond. So all of these are steps to strengthen your grip on reality, which is most important for your healing. So, step number 1, the most important thing is to stop taking the drug. In abuse recovery, we call this no contact, and it means cutting all contact with your abuser. In terms of addiction, contact, we think of contact as in like, are you texting, are you speaking to them? But in addiction terms, contact is like a contact high. It's as in any exposure to that substance at all. So with people, this isn't just speaking to them, seeing them in person, being in a relationship, having sex with them, all those things. It's seeing their picture, it's having things around you that really strongly remind you of them. It's even mutual friends, to say nothing of the problem of like flying monkeys. So in order to begin healing and moving on with your life, no contact should be done to the fullest extent possible. I know that for practical reasons to do with things like work or co-parenting, where you're dealing with narcissistic people or abusers, it may not be possible to go full no contact. But I don't want to give people an excuse to come up with a reason why they can't go full no contact, because that is what you should be aiming for. The less contact, the better for your peace of mind, for your health. So addicts can't begin to heal. You can't recover if you're still having a little taste of the drug every now and again. So I've spoken about this in the video I did on a narcissist social media. Don't go looking. You have to get rid of anything that reminds you of them. Assume that you are at some point in a moment of weakness when your feelings, you're struggling with your feelings. Assume that you are going to want to get in touch with them, look at them. You're going to want your fix. You're going to want a hit of the drug. And you have to be as resourceful in getting rid of the substance, in getting rid of your access to the narcissist. You have to be as resourceful as you're going to be when you try and get in touch with them. So make sure you have no backups of their phone number. Make sure you have you haven't got anything written down that would help you to get in touch with them, because afterwards you don't want to be saying, oh well, I found out their phone number, I remembered their phone number was in some sort of backup or archive and I could look at them there, and then I unblocked them and we had a relapse, and now I'm feeling even worse. You don't want that to happen to you. So be smart about it and make sure your access to that information is done and gone. So just on that subject about it not necessarily being possible for some people, you probably already know that the answer there is the grey rock method, where you provide as little supply to them as you can. That's hard in and of itself, but like I said, I don't want to give people an excuse to go grey rock when they really could go full no contact. That is the desirable choice. So number 2, addressing your issues of codependency and trauma with qualified therapists and support groups. Now, I know most people in the community say that most therapists, the vast majority of therapists, are not qualified to help with narcissistic abuse. They don't know anything about narcissistic abuse. They probably don't know anything about NPD or personality disorders in general. And that is true because diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder is so rare that when you're studying to be a psychologist, psychotherapist, counselor, unless you have a particular interest in that area, you're not going to devote much time to something that's super rare. But what I have found is that most counselors and psychotherapists do have a lot of knowledge and experience to do with addiction, trauma, and possibly codependency. And those are all parts of what you're going through that you need to address if you're going to move forward and heal. So a good therapist will listen to the stuff that you have learned about narcissistic abuse, and they will fill in the gaps with their experience and their resources. So I would recommend finding a professional to help you go through with this. You're not looking for perfection. You just want someone with experience of addiction, childhood trauma, and perhaps codependency, although that's a little more unusual. And the other thing is I would recommend trying several therapists, because while it is important to, as Pete Walker talks about, verbally ventilate your feelings and work through your trauma that way, the relationship itself with a therapist is important. So you want to find somebody who you kind of gel with and get along with, because that's called the therapeutic relationship. And what it is if you find someone who you can gel with and start to form a bond as you work through these things, you're modeling a healthy relationship. You have someone who shows you empathy in an unconditional way and is supportive and validating to you. Now, I think having that in childhood is quite rare anyway, and for those of us who've been affected by these things, our childhoods probably had a lot of problems in them, and so we're not used to this. So the therapeutic relationship is important. I didn't used to think it was so important. I thought I was just going to talk about problems and I wanted advice for that specific problem. But the therapeutic relationship in and of itself, having someone who you feel you can trust, you can really open up to, having that modeled will help you to recreate it in other relationships in future. You'll have healthier relationships because you have learned that there's someone who you can talk to, open up to, be yourself with, show yourself, and be seen, known, heard, understood, and accepted. So, further to that, number 3 is build your support network. Open up to trusted friends about what you're going through. Be a little wary that it is possible to overload friends, especially ones who have no experience of any kind of abuse or childhood trauma. Healthy people, I think, will often try and be there for you anyway, if you do have a friendship. But just use some discernment and open up to people who you can trust, who you know. Share with them. That will be validating for you. Get their feelings and opinions on what you've said. That will help you to... I used to say nobody ever listens to advice about relationships, but the more people you have saying, yes, what he did was shit, what she did was awful, you don't deserve that kind of shit, the better. Because it will keep you in touch with reality, or give weight to the side of the cognitive dissonance that says that person is abusive and bad, and that's what you wanted to hold on to. It is best if you can have that support in person. It's why I think support groups are important. If you don't feel able to discern who you can lean on yet, then start out in the online support groups. There's a few on Facebook. The one from Dana Morningstar's Thrive After Abuse group, and the live stream Q&A, that's really good. Also, Richard Grannon does another one. I've seen that on Instagram. Many people there have been stuck in the same situations as you're in now, so it'll help you to realize that you're not alone, and you can open up and get some validation from other people who've been through similar things. Number 4 is get back in touch with who you are. A key part of our reality, which we were robbed of by lousy parents and abusers, probably because we spent years only thinking about them and what they wanted and how they felt. So find out what you like and don't like. Get outside, try new activities, do all kinds of things, whether you think it's that interesting or not. You might surprise yourself. Your goal is you're not going for gold here. Your goal is just to have, just to have an enjoyable time, something you think you can start doing regularly, and build some kind of routine and some other thing you have in your life apart from the object of your obsession, your abuser. So for me, I've done things like drawing classes, yoga, bouldering, Spanish language meetups, a few other things. You're not going for some amazing first time where it gives you a story you can tell your grandchildren. You just want to try new things, try and enjoy yourself, and go back in future. It is possible, just bear in mind, it is possible to encounter narcissists in any social situation. So use discernment as you go about getting to know people. But I definitely want you to show courage and get out there and start living your life again, because the narcissist usually wants to isolate us, and after that relationship, or even when we're still in it, we start to isolate ourselves because we feel so crappy about everything. And to borrow from that famous A Nice Nin poem, staying in the bud, you can't grow, you can't bloom. So I recommend then writing down, journaling what you thought and felt about the activity you tried. Don't fall into the codependency trap of not pursuing a project, if possible. Try and keep going. Be aware that you might be making excuses to not try things and to not go out. Most people are okay, and most things you try will be okay. I know we come out of these things thinking like everybody's a narcissist, everybody's problematic, the world is a terrifying place. But you're gonna be okay. If you go out and try these things, you're probably gonna be okay. All right. So number 5, improve your self-esteem, which the first 4 will help you do anyway. But as you get to know yourself, you'll be better able to imagine things you want in your future and start setting some goals. Now, again, you're not going for gold here. You just want to get on the right path. Life laughs at, what was that quote? God, something about God laughs at, men make plans and God laughs, or something like that. But if you're working towards some things that you feel you want, it doesn't matter where you end up, you will get things that make you feel good as you engage in that process. So start setting goals. They don't have to be all the big things that you want, 10, 15 years from now, like the career you want, what type of person you want to be, the family you want, how many companies you want to own, how many novels you want to have written. That's putting too much pressure on yourself. For now, start small. How many times do you want to go to the gym this week? What types of exercise do you want to do this week? What meals do you want to have cooked this week? How many times do you want to have gone out to socialize? How much money do you want to save by the end of the month? Things like that. Just start setting goals. The most useful textbook or book that this was an audio book actually that I listened to, but on the subject of self-esteem, the most useful way to conceptualize the whole thing and how to work on it was what I think is the most popular book, The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. So it's a great book for getting an idea of the different areas of self-esteem, and I recommend it to anyone. The audiobook is on YouTube, so you can listen to it there. So the 6 pillars that he talks about, the 6 elements of self-esteem, living consciously, in other words, having awareness about how you think and feel and how you affect others. Self-acceptance is pretty self-explanatory. Self-responsibility, that's self-explanatory. Self-assertiveness, personal integrity, which is living in line with your values, and living purposefully. Now, what I didn't expect by the end of the book was that he says living purposefully is the most important thing. In other words, always having some goals. They don't have to be huge. They don't have to be your life writ large in the beginning. Just get used to having some goals which are not just impulsive things that you want in the day. Like, if you feel like you want to go and get a croissant, that's not a goal, even if you achieve it. A goal is something a bit more strategic that you need to put some thought and effort into over days or weeks or months. So the reason it's the most important is that all the other pillars are expressed in the pursuit of purposeful living, in the pursuit of your goals. So this video kind of overran, but I think these things are really important. So there's 5 ways that you can get a grip on reality, start to get a grip on reality and get out of that trauma bond. I hope that this has been useful to you. Please like the video if it is. Share it if you think it'd be useful to other people. I'd love for you to comment and let me know what you thought. And also, subscribe to the channel, because there will be more videos like this where I hope to really give back to the community that's helped me so much in my recovery. So thanks very much for your time and attention, and I'll speak to you soon.